And then I thought about the perpetrators and I saw their faces. And I said, I pictured them and I said, I forgive you and I release you. Hi, I'm Vicki and I'm back, and I am going to share with you now about the power of forgiveness and how it came into play after the incident where I was robbed and assaulted by two young men while on a walk in a park, and the aftermath of all that had happened. So after the perpetrators were identified and my items were recovered, I was strongly encouraged to go to the hospital, which I didn't want to do. All I wanted to do actually in that moment was just to go home. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to be home because home was safety. And so I kept telling the EMTs and the police that I wanted to go home, and they were so kind and so gentle with me, and they kept saying, ma'am, I think you should go. I think you should go to the hospital. You don't know if your lip is going to need stitches. You don't know if you're going to need plastic surgery. At one point, they were thinking I was going to need plastic surgery for everything that was happening over here. They didn't know if I had a concussion, so they were quite worried about me, and they were so gentle, and I can't express enough gratitude for the way that they had handled me. And so I kind of finally agreed to going to the hospital, and when I got to the hospital, they were running a lot of tests on me, obviously, and they did an x-ray and a CAT scan. And while the x-ray didn't show any broken bones, the CAT scan, it showed that I had bleeding in my brain. And so they gave me the worst news possible, which was that I had to stay in the hospital overnight, and that they didn't know whether, like, when or how they would be able to release me, and that now I was under close watch, and they just needed me to be still and to be there. And so when I was in the hospital, I had a long time. I was actually lying on a bed in the hallway because there weren't enough rooms, which is fine. I mean, there were people that were in far worse pain than I was. So as I lay there without a pillow, kind of in this like darkness and coldness, and it's really cold in the ER room, and I thought about, you know, where I was and the situation that I was in, I started to get into an attitude of gratitude, which is what I like to call it, which is essentially really focusing on all the good that I had rather than what you could call bad. But more importantly, and I will talk about gratitude in another video, I kind of went into myself, and I had been, you know, I have been practicing meditation and presence and mindfulness for, I would say, maybe a year or two, maybe 2 years now, and journaling and just really going within and exploring myself and finding, you know, where a lot of the self-worthiness, lack of confidence issues were coming from. And so I started to think about the power of forgiveness. And, you know, one of the things that kept coming up for me was, did I do something? Like, what have I done that was so terrible in life that maybe I could have deserved this? Or, you know, the other thought that kept going through me was, is God punishing me for something? Is God punishing me for something? Am I being taught a lesson here? And what I recalled was in one of the lecture series that I had listened to, I recalled that the power of forgiveness is not about you condoning what another person had done. It's not you saying that what you have done is okay. The power of forgiveness is to release the negative energy that you have that is imprisoning you from moving on and from shedding out of your energy so that you can bring something new, something clear, and a lot more positive into your energetic sphere. And so as I was lying in the emergency room, I said to myself that I'm going to make a conscious choice to do two things. One, I'm going to forgive myself. Because if all of this judgment of me was coming up for me through this experience, clearly there was something there where I felt the need to forgive myself for whatever. And then the other thing was I needed to forgive my perpetrators. It wasn't that I needed to be okay with what they had done. It wasn't that I needed to accept that what they had done was not, like, shouldn't be punishable. Yes, absolutely. I trust the legal system to do what it does and for our society to operate as it should. But what I needed to do was energetically release myself, forgive myself, and to forgive them. And so two things came to mind. One is I read this beautiful book. It's called Conversations with God. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And I'm not religious. I'm not super religious, but I am very spiritual and like ancient Zen spiritualism. And so what I recalled from reading that book is that, you know, God doesn't judge. God just is, you know, God just is. And so as I laid there and I was judging myself, I really felt that this was not a judgment or a punishment from God that came to me, but this was probably more like, you know, everything, the aftermath, all that is going to come through as part of this, you know, and that there was a lot of goodness that is coming through as a result of it. You know, I was able to help the police force catch the perpetrators so that at least if I could save one more victim, that was worth it to me. And whatever was coming up for me needed to be released. And so I said to myself very quietly, I forgive myself and I release myself. And I closed my eyes and I kept saying that to myself. And as I was saying it, tears flowed down my face. So clearly, while I in my conscience didn't know what I needed to forgive myself for, clearly I needed to forgive myself for something. And so I kept saying that. And I'm even getting emotional as I say it now. I kept saying to myself, I forgive myself and I release myself. I forgive myself and I release myself. And then I thought about the perpetrators and I saw their faces. And I said, I pictured them and I said, I forgive you and I release you. And I was releasing them from my energetic field so that I wasn't angry, so that I wasn't feeling like a victim, so that I wasn't bound to living in fear and in anger and frustration and victimhood. In fact, I was empowering myself. Forgiving them was actually empowering me inside and making me feel stronger, that I had the power. I had the power over how I felt. I had the power over how I react to the situation. And I had the power to release them, to forgive them, and to release them. And that I still had the choice. And the choice was mine. And that actually felt good. And that brought tremendous amount of peace to me within. And by releasing that negativity and that negative energy, I allowed and created the space for something so much better to come into me, for me to feel so much better. And so if you're ever in a situation where you're truly angry, frustrated, feel that an injustice has been done to you, just remember, just saying to yourself, I forgive you and I release you. Just by doing that, you're going to take your own power back and you're going to release a lot of that negative energy, settle yourself, and create the space for something much better to come into you. So that's the power of forgiveness. And I can talk about that for a lot longer, but okay. So in the next video, I'm actually going to talk about gratitude and the role that gratitude played and is continuing to play as part of this journey, as part of this experience, and how we can all exercise an attitude of gratitude and truly live a more peaceful, happier life when you're living released from the negative emotions and the negative energy that holds us down and weighs us down. Okay, on to gratitude next.